Hey guys, Jess with People Wreaths. We are back to work on our ribbon bow for our plum colored fall wreath. So in our last video we attached the mesh, talked a little bit about the colors. We're going to be using this really pretty purple in the ribbon tails. So we're not going to be using this ribbon in the bow, but we are using this ribbon, which is very similar in color, but different in texture and a different width. So I've talked about it a couple times before when I've made bows, in that when I first started making wreaths, I would make the bow match exactly the same colors as the wreath that I was working on, because I was like, okay, I want this bow to match the wreath. But what I was running into is that from far away, when I would take a picture, I would realize that the bow matched too much and I wasn't even able to see where the wreath ended and the bow began, or that there was even a bow on the wreath at all, which is not what we're looking for. We want to make sure that our items stick out, and when we do a bow, we want it to, you know, kind of be like the centerpiece of a wreath if there is not a sign, or at least something that really sticks out and makes a statement. So I'm making this about 8-inch tails. This color scheme that we're going to be using, it has plums and bronze shades and a little bit of teal and this really pretty burnt orange. So we are using that in our bow, and when we make our bows, we start from like the bottom layer up. This is 6 inches in our loop. So I always, not always, but many times what I'll do is I'll make 2 loops on the bottom, and then 1 loop, and then 2, and then 1 and 2. I'm just making sure that this is 6 inches as well. This bow maker that I'm using is called a bow dabber. You can use any type of bow maker that's out there, or you can just make your bows by hand. That works too. I do that sometimes when I have directional ribbon. I'll make the bow by hand. I don't necessarily prefer it because I feel like it's hard for me to hold the ribbon and manipulate the loops at the same time. It's just a little bit challenging for me. So when you've made a few bows, you kind of realize, you know, what works, what doesn't, and you know, you do what works for you. So I'm making this tail about as long as the other one because we want to have some symmetry when we make our wreaths. I'm going to save this last little bit, possibly for later or for a different bow. So here we go, we're just dovetailing this end part, which is just making an inverted V. It helps it to look a little bit more professional and polished, which is what we're looking for even in our handmade goods. So we did 2 loops on each side of that. The rest of my ribbons are, well, this one is another 2.5 inch, which is what I like to use usually all at the same time. This is the same in a 1.5 inch. And then we have bronze. Let's think. Normally I don't like to put bronze, like the same exact colors together. So I'm looking around to see if I have a 2.5 inch that's in a similar color. I do right here. Don't mind my hair if you see it. All right, so we're gonna use this one. This is a burlap, and it's gonna help tie in the colors in the ribbon as well as the burlap that is in the wreath. So if you saw our last video, you noticed that we did use burlap mesh. We used a really pretty frayed edge one. We used a burlap mesh that had bronze reflective stripes in it, and then we just used a burlap that had cotton stripes in it. So lots of different textures. Burlap goes really pretty all year round, but especially in fall, it reminds me of the natural textures that you see in a lot of different decor pieces, and even, you know, outside, you know, the scarecrows and the hay bales and all that good stuff. So again, we're bringing in the dovetail, it's called, and this is the very last of that roll, which is fun. I like, I don't know why. I do know why. I like using up rolls of mesh and ribbon because I feel like It's kind of like a sense of accomplishment. Like, all right, I did good on that one. Sometimes when I would not first start, it happens still sometimes. But especially when I first started making wreaths, when it came to buying supplies, I would just buy anything that I liked, anything that looked good. I would just, without any type of rhyme or reason or project planned or time to do that project or anything like that, I would just buy it. But what I kind of ran into is I would have all these random things, and sometimes I would like change my, we're not going to do a tail because we don't have much ribbon on here. Sometimes I would change kind of like what I like to do, and that, I don't know, I wouldn't go back to liking that type of material, but here we go. So when I was starting to make that layer, I realized that I don't have enough to make 2 loops and a tail. So I'm just going to make 2 loops, and I won't have a tail in this burnt orange, and that's totally okay. Make sure that you put enough here so that it's not going to slip through and your loops are going to come out, because that would be a bad thing. We're not looking to have any type of bows that are falling apart. So each loop that I do in my bow, I make about a finger length or so smaller, so that you can see all the layers of the bow. They're not going to be covering up each other, and that's another reason I like to do 2 loops and then 1 loop and then 2. I like when it works out just like that. Let's take this last piece of tape off there and gather it a bit, put it in there, and there we go. That worked out beautifully, didn't it? All right, so I'm just kind of spreading them out as I go. We have 2, then 1, then 2. Now we're going to switch over to our 1.5 inch width ribbons. Plus, I feel like when I run out of a ribbon, it gives me a chance to buy more. I don't know. Do you guys feel that way? Other wreath makers? It kind of tells you that it's okay to buy more because you used what you had and you're a good steward of what you bought. Anyways, okay, so this is a really pretty chocolate brown. It reminds me of the chocolate bronze brown stripes in that mesh that we used, and I think it'll be a great way to tie in that texture and those colors. So we're going to do 1 loop on each side of this 1.5 inch width, and then we're going to come in with our turquoise and our plum. I might do the plum first actually, and then we will be done. So I'm making these tails a little bit longer because I am going to curl them a little bit. You are able to see the 2.5 inch behind the 1.5 inch just because of the width factor. This ribbon is gorgeous. You guys can see there's like gold flecks inside, and then there's also a gold trim. That's very pretty. I like that a lot, and the sparkles don't come off, which is really good if you ask me. I don't know about you if you like glitter or not. You'll have to let me know in the comments below if you're a fan of glitter. I know Christmas is coming, and that is definitely a high glitter time for most decorations, unless you like a rustic look, which is, it's like, I like that too. But a lot of people use glittery things around Christmas time, and I used to be a huge fan of glitter. I like shimmer. There's definitely a difference between shimmer and glitter. Shimmer looks more metallic-y. The glitter doesn't shed because there's not really glitter on there. It's just like reflective. So I like shimmer. I don't necessarily like glitter anymore. When I had kids, we had a story time. We had a Christmas party, a family Christmas party. We always have we host Christmas Eve at our house every year for our family, and I have nieces that at the time were young, and they wore very sparkly dresses, like Christmas dresses, because they were going to go to service after. And they wore them in our house, and they shed so much. It was as if you took like a canister of glitter and just like shook it all over our house, the carpet, the leather couches, the wooden floors, everywhere. And although you can vacuum up glitter, this is true, but then it kind of like spreads. I don't know. I know vacuums are efficient, but you can kind of test the efficiency of a vacuum by vacuuming up glitter or like crumbs and things like that. So anyways, the glitter got all over the place. It was everywhere, and my kids were really young, and it made me nervous that it was gonna get in their eyes, because it was like I'd be finding glitter like on their cheeks all the time, like throughout the days that followed, and I don't know, it was making me nervous. Okay, so we're putting this one, we're just gonna put, you know what, why not? We're gonna do 2 loops on each side because I like to end my bows in that way. So this last, these last set of loops are probably about maybe 2.5 inches. They're getting smaller and smaller. They get smaller by about 1/2 inch on each set of loops. Like all 4 of these are the same. And then we're gonna put that little bump in the middle, I think, or we might, let me think. Let me see. I got my, all right, we'll just set a pine cone. So I'll put a little one on purpose so I can remember to use that. And then we'll just stretch our tail out here. And then we're done. My Bodabra is saying, stop with the ribbons. I can't hold anymore. That's what it would say if it talked. But yes, you're able to finish that bow, and it is less than 12 minutes. So it does not take long to make a bow. Once you kind of have a plan and a color scheme in mind, it really comes along quickly. And then I'll just take a pipe cleaner that's the same color as the pipe cleaners I'm using in my wreath. Just fold it over a little bit like that. And you're gonna gather your ribbons here. Let me twist this one. There we go. So you're gonna take your hand, you're gonna make like kind of like a ribbon sandwich. Let's call it that. Take it off of your bow maker. You just kind of hook this over like this, making sure that you hold it between your thumb and then the back, and then you give it a few good twists. Nice and tight, to make sure that none of the layers of the bow are gonna fall out. Just kind of organizing as I go. And then I keep my thumb right here on top of the pipe cleaner, and then I take my hands and I go through layer by layer and find the tails in the order that they're coming in. I'm just pulling them out, giving them a little bit of an arch with my fingers. It is all wired ribbon. That is the only kind of ribbon that I use, so that when the customer gets this on their door, and then if they store it for the season, it'll be ready to go next season. It'll look just as nice as it did when I shipped it out to them. Okay, so we're opening up our loops. We have 2 on one side, then we have 1. These tails are getting a little crazy on me. And then we have 2, and then we have 2, and then we're gonna do the other side. Make it look nice and symmetrical. Put our fingers in there, opening it up a little bit. That tail goes down, and these go like that. And then we are all done. So there we go. There is our bow. All our pretty shades, different tones, different textures. There we go. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if it inspires you to make a bow. And I will see you next time when we add on the ribbon tails into our wreath and add all the embellishments. I swear I can fluff a bow forever. There we go. Thanks so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.